For the pain. The pain. Oh, the pain.
Welcome to Move Evolution Drumming Therapy, treating the pain, injury, and movement dysfunction of the modern percussionist.
Oh, my neck, my back, my neck and my back. Oh.
My name is Richard Sinister, physical therapist, sports and conditioning specialist, and percussionist. And I'm hoping I can help you treat, avoid the most common drumming injuries, and improve your drumming fitness. Heal, move, drum, evolve. Hey, greetings. Welcome back to Move Evolution Drumming Therapy. I am sincerely excited about today's interview. I get to interview April Centrone, a very talented percussionist, instructor, and very cool, down-to-earth individual. And today we are going to focus on April's ability to stay drumming fit, her health concern that totally altered the way she looked at food, and challenges she faced along the way as far as racism, sexism, misogyny, and homophobia performing within the Arabic music community. April Centrone is a multi-instrumentalist, teacher, composer, and music therapist based in New York City and New Jersey. She is a Carnegie Hall World Explorer, 2020 musician and educator, business owner of 10 PRL, which is an arts, film, and event space on the New Jersey shore, and co-founder of the New York Arabic Orchestra, a non-profit organization specializing in the performance and education of Arabic music. April currently teaches world music at William Paterson University and has held lectures in music therapy and Arabic music percussion at Taipei University of the Arts, Lebanese American University, and others. She has worked extensively with inner city schools throughout New York's boroughs with projects such as Yo-Yo Ma's Silk Road Connect. She has performed in venues such as the United Nations, Carnegie Hall, and Lincoln Center, and has toured throughout Europe, the Americas, Middle East, and the Far East. April has toured with Arab icons including Zaid Rabbani, Bassam Saba, and Marcel Khalif, among others. She conducted a music therapy tour with the U.S. Embassy of Malaysia, holding workshops at Rohingya, refugee youth centers, and safe houses for young Malaysian women. During her residence in Lebanon from 2013 to 2016, April held Arabic music workshops for Syrian and Palestinian refugee youth throughout her project Jafur. She currently teaches group and private instruction in percussion and oud and leads therapeutic drum sessions. April strongly advocates female empowerment in her teaching and compositions. Her debut album, New Moon, is available on Spotify. April carries a master's degree in forensic psychology from John Jay College, NYC. To everyone listening right now, I'm really excited to interview April Centrone. I've known her for quite a while, and I want to educate, bring our listeners up to date on how I actually met April, and then I'll let April talk a little bit and tell the viewers about herself. My wife and I went to Egypt maybe 10-15 years ago. We went to do some research. My wife was a belly dancer at the time, African belly dancer. And we also wanted to renew our vows. So I alone, only male, went along with 14 or 15 other belly dancers to Egypt. We bought some instruments. My wife bought an oud. She fell in love with the oud. It got smashed between between Egypt and New York. At Penn Station, I think not at LaGuardia, my wife was distraught. A young woman came up to us. Her name was Rosie. She's Egyptian who lives in New York, and she says, "I know someone who repairs ouds who owns a falafel shop," which was yes, a falafel shop. His name was, and please correct me if I'm wrong, April, Najib Shahid.
That's right, Najib Shahid.
Nice and really odd fellow, nice guy, smart guy. And he repaired my wife's oud and turned her on to Bassam Saba, who is the co-founder of the New York Arabic Orchestra. April, and you'll see this, all her bio, they'll be in the show notes. April is the other co-founder of the New York Arabic Orchestra. Now, not only did Shepta start taking oud lessons, she became a member of the New York Arabic Orchestra in the percussion section. And I, as a percussionist, I was drawn to the percussion section, and I saw April play, listened to her play, and I wanted to meet April. And long story, already long, April became my teacher. I took a few Rick lessons from her. She's an excellent instructor, and that is how I met April Centrone. Did I cover everything?
I would say so.
April, greetings and good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there.
It's what's the date? It's June 3rd. We're in the midst of everything. And actually later on, I'm going to do a 5 minutes of sanity breathing podcast because I need it. Everyone needs it. But let's talk about you. The priest, when they get the calling, they get the calling for the priesthood. Moses, the burning bush. What was your calling? What was the drumming bug that bit you, and how did it bite you, and when did it bite you?
Well, my original drumming bug came when I was 8 or 9 years old, and that was from, luckily, when it still existed, the music program of the grammar school had, and they said, oh, you can study. It was a small school, so they had a saxophone and flute and trumpet, and I saw this round thing sitting there in the summer of 4th grade, and we were allowed to walk around the cafeteria and look at and try the different instruments. And I saw this little round figure, and I said, oh, so this is a drum. And I said, what do I know how to play right now? I know how to hit things. This is perfect for me. Oh boy, there was a tornado happening outside. I just looked out my window. But so it really struck me, and I took to it immediately. It was absolutely entrancing. And then I went on to play in the jazz band and the concert band and the marching band, and on and on and on, until I left high school, and I went to New York to study in college, and I was looking for some other kind of music that I couldn't put my finger on. I knew that I was looking for something, but I wasn't even sure what it was. But I knew it was some form of emotional expression that I didn't experience, growing up in America, in New York City, in a place where, you got to stay tough and watch your back and be careful of other people, and be guarded. So one day I discovered Arabic music and the whole culture and the people that followed, and it was exciting and overwhelming and terrifying, because I saw a group of people who hugged and held hands and played music into each other's eyes and sang every moment they had a chance to. And I thought, oh my God, how much I want this and yearn for this, but I feel so outside of it, so so terrified, so cut off. How will I ever be this vulnerable? You know, and that began my journey into specifically Arabic music in 2005. I was 20 years old.
So it was the solidarity of the Arabic culture that brought you in, almost like the Brazilian culture. Anytime there's a chance to be around family, to express themselves through music and physical touch, is that what drew you in?
That was part of what ultimately drew me in and kept me in, I'd say. Initially, when I was, slinking around New York and my musical taste became more and more, quote, out there. I was listening to more and more experimental things. I was going to awesome experimental clubs at the time, like Tonic, and and then finally that gave way to roadways into trance and world music. And most immediately I experienced, for example, Indian music. I saw that there was something in ecstatic music and trance music in general for me. I said, there's something there that I need to pursue. And Arabic music, especially at that time, wasn't as prevalent as certainly like Indian music. Indian music had some decades behind it to establish itself in New York City. So one day, very randomly, from a Bush protest drum group, I heard about a Palestinian oud and violin virtuoso concert at Symphony Space on the Upper West Side in February 2005, and I said, I'm going to go to this. And in the middle of that concert was the moment where everything changed. The moment my life did an utter 180 in the middle of one of his improvisations, which we call in Arabic, Percussionist. I was floored, and I said, I need this. And again, totally terrified because I knew nothing about this music, but I knew I had to. I knew my life needed to go in this direction. Who would have thought? And then some months later, because I was obsessed by that point, I discovered this man whose name's Simone Shaheen. I discovered his Arabic music retreat, which met annually in August, and that's when I experienced the rest of the picture, the culture, the people, the way music intertwined with food and with love and with passion and affection and a timelessness to social interaction, a warmth of social interaction, a care and friendliness on a level that I've never known in America, with Americans.
It's so funny you mentioned Simon Shahid, who is the brother of Najib Sahib, who owned the falafel place.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Now, when you were following this feeling, this drive. Two questions: how was your family support, and also any mentors out there who pushed you along and said, you can do this. It may be uncomfortable for you, but nothing grows in comfort. You have the talent, you have the drive. Go do it. So family support and mentors.
My family was incredibly supportive. I grew up in a household of artists, and my grandmother was my biggest influence and support and mother, really. She raised me. She was a feminist playwright. She worked in civil rights. She worked with Martin Luther King. She was an incredible person. And this also meant a lot to her, that I was exposing myself to culture. And she loved the music too, and she came to know all the players. So I had a lot of family support. And as far as mentorship, well, my main mentor, unfortunately, just passed. He became sick with coronavirus. He was also 90 years old, but he was playing, and he had many years ahead of him.
Who was this?
That was very, very sad. So.
Who was this?
Michel Medhej Batlou. he's a legendary Rick player. He had over half a century of incredible body of work with the biggest stars in the Middle East, in Lebanon, etc. And he worked with the Rahbani brothers and Fairuz and Ziad Rahbani and all. And he was part of that process of arranging. He wasn't just a wasn't just a percussionist. He was everything, and he knew the music in and out. And he was on all the big radio and all the big songs. So his playing was the real inspiration for why I said I need to dive into Rick in particular. I never saw anyone approach that instrument like he did. It was with such subtlety, such music, such grace, such attention and listening. And it reminded me of what I loved about drum set, especially in certain jazz situations. And yet this could be held in the palms of your hands.
Uh-huh.
It was all this incredible sound and this little tambourine. So he was my mentor that I met him at the retreat in 2005.
Okay, and I was going to have you explain to our listeners what the Rick is for those who don't know, and you already said it's in the family of the tambourine or the pandero, and it is a little mini drum set. Now, again, I had the wonderful opportunity of taking a few lessons from April, and it was an awesome experience. Awesome. I want to jump ahead and ask about the New York Arabic Orchestra, because I've seen you and Bassam Saba, the other co-founder of the New York Arabic Orchestra, I've seen you two interact, and you have such great energy. How did you first meet him, and what is the connection? Is it a mutual respect because of each other's skills and energy connection? Do you blend musically together? So how did you meet, and what's the great connection?
Well, Bassam and I met at the retreat as well in 2005, in August 2005. And my first experience with him was like, incredibly mind-blowingly talented multi-instrumentalist. Anything he picked up, the Western flute, the nai, the oud, the violin, he would just, he was just clearly a virtuoso master of all of it. And he also had such a youthful, joyful approach.
Yes, indeed.
Which also called to me, because one thing I think we could say we've all suffered from in New York City is this sense of music training. People that come from Berkeley and all these different places, they're very stressed about music. They're very stressed, very, very stressed. And Bassam was the opposite. He turned into a kid of the morning of Christmas whenever he played. So he was a beautiful marriage of incredible virtuosity and also just unbridled youthful joy. And I really took to that, and he became a major mentor of mine in continuing, and he started me off learning baud. And over time, in 2007, I said, let's get this organization going where other people obsessed like me about Arabic music can live and breathe it all year round. Like, let's make an orchestra. And my two favorite things became Arabic music and orchestras. Like, when I saw him conduct at the Arabic Music Retreat, I was literally floored, because there's nothing more beautiful than sitting in an orchestra and it being Arabic music. I was in heaven. So I said, we need to do this in New York. So we created the New York Arabic Orchestra in 2007, which ultimately became an incorporated nonprofit 501c3 organization to preserve and promote Arabic music and cultural awareness.
For those who have not listened to an Arabic orchestra live, I have seen the New York Arabic Orchestra at a Hatshell event, and I don't remember the exact name of the something to my father. He plays it every time.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of that the song?
Waltz to my father.
Man, I go into this meditative state.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most pacifying, mollifying, and rejuvenating experience. And once I leave, I feel like I've been to church, a commune, to the beach all at once. So great experience. All right, we're going to go into the hot topics. We're going to talk about your experience as far as sexism, misogyny, racism, and homophobia within the Arabic community. And I want to be explicit. So we're going to take a little break, and we will be right back. Okay, April, we hop into the hot, controversial topics. Now, before we start talking about sexism, misogyny, racism, homophobia within the Arabic music community, I would like you to explain or describe yourself to our listeners as far as your race, your gender, your stature or size, and also, if you don't mind, sexual preference, because that's going to bring perspective to what we're getting ready to hit. So, talk, Miss April. Let us know. Who are you? What do you look like?
Well, I am white. I'm a Sicilian American, if you will. I am 5'3". I've always been pretty small person, pretty thin. What can I say? I would say kind of wiry.
You're sinewy. I say sinewy. You have very muscular arms. Yes.
Yeah. I would just say kind of strong. I'm female, and I identify as a lesbian.
Okay. So let me ask you topic by topic. As far as being seen as a white female drummer in this environment, how were you treated? Or tell me the challenges you faced, or an example of some sort of hurdle you had to surmount.
In the Arab community?
Yes.
Or
specifically in the Arabic music community.
Mm-hmm. I would say the hurdles that I experienced as a quote white female in the Arab community overall is just respect and inclusion. I would say there were a lot of things I wasn't included in, and those ensembles were primarily male and never ceased to be male, even to this day. And I always wondered why that was the case. And then as far as, specifically this percussion, for some reason, in the Arab music tradition, it's very male-dominated, and especially in the professional Arab percussion world. And I'm not quite sure why, when you have, for example, in Iran, you have this slew of professional female bass players. So I can't answer why that divide exists, but there's definitely a lot of sense from the Arab community that I think a woman is not necessarily going to play seriously or play powerfully enough, or just be good enough to be in that situation.
And as far as your race, was there any you can't play our music because of who you are or where you are from?
Well, I would say the positive thing that I discovered over the years, I ran into some of that sentiment in the beginning. Like, for example, there's no way a Western ear could understand quarter tones, not like we do growing up in it, right?
Yeah.
And I did not agree with that. And of course, they could say, "Oh, of course, a white girl wouldn't agree," because but I didn't. I didn't, because I saw something, not just with me and how I related to Arabic music, but how, let's say, my friend from Japan deeply related to Brazilian music, or I saw, especially in New York City, where you have such a different pile of people all together sharing cultures, I think some of the best musicians in different traditions, and they didn't grow up in that tradition. So it was very clear to me that if you loved something so much, you loved it in a way that you have no idea even why. It's like clearly a calling in your life, and you put in the work.
Yeah.
I believe you can absolutely approach that art with integrity. And believe me, I was obsessed with honoring the tradition. I did not want to play publicly without, really feeling like I embodied it. So I worked very hard. I listened nonstop to Arabic music throughout the whole day, and I saw every concert I could possibly see in New York City.
Passion and you had some passion and you internalized it.
Right. So eventually, I didn't see the problem anymore. Actually, quite the opposite. When I had moved to Lebanon in 2013, where I ultimately stayed for 3 years, I felt almost a kind of crazy embrace of the fact that I was, quote, white or American or not, quote, Arab, and it ended up making the kind of contributing a feeling to, let's say, the Lebanese people of, wow, maybe there is something to our culture, to our music, the fact that this, white American girl dedicated her life to it. And that was such a positive thing to come out of learning this culture and then moving there, because it was important to hear it from another voice, not just to quote another Arab voice, to say, yeah, this is meaningful. You gotta take notice of your culture and your heritage if you quit on it, because of course that's what happens around the world. A lot of people are trained to sort of say, my culture is whatever. Let me listen to some, rock music or whatever, or Bach. So, and then the only challenges that I experienced being a professional in Lebanon. This is where it all comes down, and women experience this all the time. If you have a seat that a lot of people want, they think you slept with someone to get there, and yes, that was the hardest thing in my entire drum life, really, but especially living in Lebanon. It was the sense of, well, why would he give her that position?
Yes.
I want that position. And that started very aggressively when I started working with Ziad Rahstani, it was an absolute dream to work with him. I never pictured that would ever happen in my life. The son of Fairuz, but we're talking like royalty in terms of Arabic music. And I ended up playing drum set and percussion with him, mostly Rick. So there was a lot of animosity, I'd say, and I don't think that would have been the case had I been a man. I don't think anything having to do with me being white, more that I was a woman.
Now, I want to ask you about, and we'll call this stress or mental stress, or stress basically F's or messes with your performance, whether it's you're practicing or performing. Now, you carrying this pressure on you to prove yourself, how did you get behind the kit or pick up the Rick and not let this affect your performance?
Well, what carried me through was the music and the connection that I allowed myself to have with this artist who, everyone admits Ziad has a lot of issues. There's a lot of controversy, politically and otherwise, circulating around him. And the circle of people that also surrounded him, like any circle that surrounds anyone who's famous, is full of, there's a lot of dark stuff there. Everyone wants to get next to a famous person. Everyone has these agendas. And my only agenda was like sitting on stage playing this famous song that I, in a sense, grew up with, like ever since I started Arabic music, and I listened to the song and I learned from the song. Here I'm playing it with the guy who wrote it, or his mother sang it, or whatever, you know. So that was what pulled me through, and I connected with Riyadh at a very deep level. I know people hated that we connected, and again, of course, they say all kinds of nonsense as a result, right?
Of course.
So that's what pulled me through. It was still difficult, you know, because all eyes, I felt like, were on me too. They really wanted me to screw up. really wanted me to screw up. But I kept doing it and kept doing it and kept at it. We had sometimes 3 or 4 shows a week, and it was hectic, and it was, you know, but I did it, and there were beautiful moments I'll never forget, including some times that I had conversations with Ziad, and he would say things to me like, you know, I feel like no one ever liked this CD I did, but you love it, you know. It's like you're the only one who seems to care. And you know, and here's this guy. He's brilliant composer and arranger. He never went to music school, so he carries around this chip on his shoulder, like, I'm not good enough. He's so insecure, but he's brilliant. And you know, there are these moments that I got to tell him, no, I mean, it's like brilliant work. You know, even if like maybe he thinks nobody likes it. I just, you know, he's a wonderful person who suffers from a lot of things. But you know, I miss those days in a way. But anyway.
Okay. Any issues with homophobia or bullying or intimidation? Because again, you were very muscular and sinewy, but you have a small frame. So did anyone try to use that tactic against you, or was there any feelings of, you know what, I don't like you because of this, because you who you spend time with?
Well, I'll be very honest. You know, I didn't always identify as a lesbian because that wasn't always my life. I had my many loves in my life, which were not women. You know, my time in Lebanon was a mixed time, if you will. And, you know, what I experienced is not what you're going to expect me to answer. What I experienced was a culture that was intensely open-minded, almost matter-of-factly, you know, yes, this is what we do, you know. And the more I investigated this sentiment around, you know, homosexual behavior, the easiness around it was, what I discovered was it seems to be related to it being an older culture. Like, for example, one of my friends who's from Syria said to me that in old Syria, she called it, women used to be together, you know. And she said it so casually. And then something really shot off in my brain, like a light bulb went off, which is in America, we may think we're superior because we say it's legal, but we have no sense. We have so much shame because we have really no sense about the true history of human beings in the world, and how, you know, quote, homosexual life, behavior, you know, for lack of a better word, was something so healthy and natural to life. It was something that honored the union of a man and a woman, to really, you know, protect her. They understood the female reproductive system more when women were honored and respected and worshipped. I mean, we're talking some thousands of years ago, but there was definitely a time when the idea to enter a woman and as a man was really like, you don't just do that. You don't just throw this around. You take care of her. And creating life is very important, and honoring the whole thing. So the homosexual behavior, and believe me, we've heard of it, you know, in passing about Greeks and Romans, but this was shared around the world. The samurai, like every culture had that as an important aspect of its life, because it was a healthy, fulfilling way to express our overwhelming sexuality, and that's it. That's it. You know, America is still, we're still in the kind of dark ages, the way we think. We're still talking about it. It's so silly. We're still talking about it.
We're an uptight society.
Yeah, it's so backwards. So I was pleasantly, I learned so much from an older culture to see that, yes, it's something beautiful, natural, and I even noticed that, you know, women who, they didn't even seem to bother identifying, because that whole thing seemed stupid too. Like, Americans are obsessed with what identity are you?
Yes.
They just loved who they wanted to love, and they were who they wanted to work. They were who they wanted to be, and they didn't feel like, okay, I have to identify like this, and therefore I have to dress like this, and therefore. There was none of that. You had beautiful women with long hair, lovely, dressing casually, however beautifully, heels, no heels, whatever, and they were lesbians or not, or something in the middle, or they don't care. You know, it wasn't this thing that we make it here. And I thought, it was incredible, really. And I saw this in other cultures too, traveling around the world, that, you know, even if it's quote not legal, the government says it's not legal, the culture, the way it embraces it and understands it and explores it and is open to it, it's so much healthier than here.
Let's say advanced.
Yeah, advanced.
Evolved.
So that's all I have to say. And being advanced is really understanding our ancient ways, which I think people are starting to understand in America. You know,
we would call that in my household, my family, and my Sankofa. There's no. If you don't know your past, you're bound to repeat. If you don't know your past, you're bound to repeat it. Something to that effect. And I'm going to talk to you later, a little bit about this later, about your forensic background and the history of the drum. But I totally believe if we don't study our past, we're never going to evolve. We're never going to learn. We're always going to be uptight and create these fictitious taboos for ourselves.
Yeah.
All right. Last segment, I want to talk about you, your health then and your health now, and the little health scare you had a little whiles back, and how that changed your whole outlook on nutrition and eating. So we will be right back. April, I've always known you to be very, very fit, and I like to call it drumming fit. So you were working out all the time. I'm not sure if it was yoga, Pilates. I remember you had a heavy bag out back. But please tell me a little bit what your regimen was like then, the little health scare you had, and what symptoms you had, how it affected your drumming, and now how you stay drumming fit today.
Mm-hmm. Well, ever since I was 16, I enjoyed, strength training. It just made my back feel good. It made me feel good. I never would have pain when I sleep or wake up, it just felt empowering. So I started in the gym ever since I was 16, and I became certified as a personal trainer under AFPA and did different things like that. And then over time, got more into calisthenics and push-ups and jump training and blast training, this sort of thing. Now, I think what a lot of us fall victim to, especially in our 20s, is, what we experience in the articles we read and the things that we watch on Facebook and all these different places of, for example, animal brutality and this will give you cancer and this and that and the other thing. So, I let my feelings and thoughts dictate what I started to eat. And I would say I was a vegetarian slash vegan, I guess, sometimes. for better part of 7 years, along with, I would say, pretty heavy working out, every day, every other day. I was, kind of obsessed with having abs and all this stuff, right? So,
yeah, I remember.
So I, but then a couple of years ago, I got very sick. I became, I probably was becoming anemic, specifically iron deficient anemia. So the normal amount is 15 to 55 units, I guess, per, I guess that's according to how much is on your blood cells, and I had 6, which is what they call alert low, and it was very scary. It feels like, everything feels like an effort just getting out of bed. Like everything feels like you have to breathe harder, like you're sort of underwater. If I had to try to describe it, if you've ever been jet lagged and haven't slept for a whole week and drowning, that's sort of how it feels. It was scary, and it affects other things. So, I would feel sometimes very nauseous, or I would feel a lot of anxiety and different things. So, at first, I tried to fix the problem with vegetarian methods, but nothing was moving the needle. It wasn't working, and I was seriously concerned for my health, my life continuing. So finally, one day, and again, I was just feeling so terrible. So, like I said, just sick in different ways. And someone said the word sausage, I think, or something.
The key word, the trigger.
I think I smelled it. I think someone said the word. And then I felt this powerful thing move inside of me. It's the best way I can explain it. And I said, oh, wow. And I was surrounded by family. And I said, you know what, I think I want that. I think we're sitting at some restaurant, and I don't know, and then everyone sort of sighed with relief because they knew that could be the beginning of my healing. Because if I had this craving, it's probably the direction I need to take. So,
everyone, that was April's second calling. The first was drums, the second was sausage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was so crazy. So that night, my aunt said, "Okay, I'm gonna make a steak. That's the thing that's gonna give you that's the classic injection of iron." So I was a little scared, but just also relieved because something in me told me that this is going to be the beginning of my healing. So I actually, before I got to that point, it happened that my nonna made her own sausage. So I had a quick little pre-dinner, which I don't think I told my aunt because I didn't want her to think I would be too full to eat her dinner. So I ended up, so indeed, the first piece of meat that I had coming back from this 7-year hiatus was homemade Sicilian sausage.
Ooh.
And it was mind blowing. It was mind blowing. And then of course the steak. And all I could say, when I had the steak, I'm talking in an instant, I felt this peace, like a strange rush of groundedness and calm. And the strength, came back over time. But this rush of calm and groundedness really shook me. Wow. And all the things I heard people say, oh, it's hard to digest, blah blah blah. I digested better than ever. It was like my body was dying for it.
Was craving it, yes.
It was like my digestion was perfect, and to be honest, still is now. I'm 2 years, I guess. 2 years now into eating meat, and I do eat it every day because I feel it if I don't.
What do you feel, or what don't you feel? What's the difference right now if you skip 3 days of putting some sort of meat protein in your diet?
No, I'll feel weak. I'll feel even a kind of anxious, like an anxiety even. My brain also will be a little out of focus. My mind might race. A number of things because what going back, what I noticed was when I was anemic, it contributed to anxiety. There's this sort of anxiety attached to it, and I realized when you're missing nutrients, everything's out of whack. Everything. So I became a calmer person too. I became more grounded. That's besides becoming stronger. I mean, it took I would say a better part of a year to really feel that strength again. And so, of course, I abandoned a lot of the heavier weight, all the calisthenics, and went more toward meditation and restorative yoga, etc. for a while. But yeah, I mean, it's calming. It's incredible.
One point I want to make based on this is really important. I don't tell anyone just start eating meat again or change it. Get your blood work, and not the basic blood work you get from your medical doctor. Nothing against your medical doctor, but an endocrinologist. Or I just got someone referred me to she's a psychoanalyst, blood work person, whatever. She does deep blood work before she even prescribes any meds, because she wants you may be missing something, maybe vitamin A, potassium, but everyone out there, I tell everyone, get deep blood work to find out what's going on. Build your foundation of nutrition and work from there. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought it was a great time to add it in.
No, 100%. If I had done that, I would have known earlier before it got really low, and I had to really take a big swing back.
Right on.
And then when I got my blood tested, only 2 or maybe 3 months later, that's it, after starting to eat meat, my iron number went from 6 to 33. Wow. And then we're talking the normal range between 15 and 55. So I send a note of caution out there, because I wish someone mentioned to me that this could be a possibility, especially women who, we're losing blood every month, losing iron every month. Just get your blood tested, check. And a lot of women are teetering on the edge.
Yes.
And all I have to say about the whole thing is, at the end of the day, it's not about what you feel. It's not about what you think. It's your body. Your body, you have to listen to your body.
Listen to your body. Be more aware of the signals and signs. And another point, during this pandemic, a lot of us are staying in more, and we're not getting as much sun. So vitamin D deficiency, and that can lead to depression, sleep issues. Again, blood work. April, this is for my own edification as a physical therapist. I wanted to ask you, and also because I'm a drummer, what's the most physical challenging part of drumming for you? And second part of this question, what's the instrument that takes the most energy for you to play, to wield, to perform upon?
Well, the instrument that takes the most I would say, it really depends on the musical situation. So if it's a nightclub, which I avoid doing those kinds of gigs, those guys playing in the Arab nightclubs, they've developed hands that look like paws. I mean, they're playing so loud, and unfortunately, these acoustic instruments have to compete with basses and big sound systems now. It's not like you're playing with other acoustic instruments anymore.
Do you actually see the hypertrophy, the growth in their hands, the change in muscle tissue?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, in those those guys who play nightclubs, their hands are massive. You don't need that when you're playing in the more traditional setting, which is the way the music has been up until maybe 20 years ago. I mean, the heavy bass track, music is a relatively new thing. So that will hurt. That will hurt. That'll split my fingers apart. It'll crack. It'll like white cracks, and sometimes you're using muscle you shouldn't be using. So But in general, finesse, finesse use of percussion and drum set, it feels totally fine for me. Drum set too, if it's a situation where it can be very heavy music. There are other issues with drum set because, let's say, you're coming in on a gig and the drums are not exactly how it would be configured to your body type, and I'm small, so most drums are set a little high for me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that can be a challenge. But overall, I'm very obsessed with working on how to just use my joints and be very relaxed. And a lot of people say when they watch me play drum set and percussion that, it seems like, you're barely doing anything. You're just, and this is thanks to years of jazz and world music. Both those traditions are going to teach you how to just relax.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But your other question about what issues I've had?
Yeah, that's my third part. My first was what's the most physical challenging part of drumming? What instruments take the most energy? And my third was what injuries most have you had, and do you have any recurring or current injuries or pain or discomfort?
Well, yes, recently, say over the past year, maybe just because I'm getting a little older, but I do have an issue with my left side. My left shoulder blade wings out, and that could just be from years of playing. And even if I'm playing normally, the instruments themselves prop up your arm in a funny way. Especially the Middle Eastern percussion,
like the
darbuka. Yeah, the darbuka and the frame drum kind of props your arm up, which if you're hitting busily with your left hand and you're propped up, probably over time, not the greatest thing. And I'm also as a drum set player, some challenges because I'm open-handed, which means not that I'm left-handed, but I play the snare drum essentially with my right hand and all the ride cymbal hi-hat stuff with my left hand.
You're one of those.
That could be that has proved to be a challenge too, because again, number one, most drum sets are not configured that way. So I might be doing something a little awkward with my left arm. And two, yeah, it's in order to have your back perfectly aligned like that, you really have to set the drum set up in a way that it normally wouldn't be, or there wouldn't be room. So, it's been challenging, and it has been a pain from the whole left side of my neck down to back behind my shoulder blade, and so when it flares up, it's pretty terrible.
Do you keep your hi-hat on your left or your right?
On my left. So
on your left, okay.
The drum set is the same configuration as a typical righty player, but I play what they call open-handed, and there are many famous open-handed players. It's just something a little bit different, to get to configure from the left side. You have to make sure it's configured well, or you'll probably hurt yourself.
Gotcha. Understood.
Yeah.
And this is sort of an off topic because you have a degree in forensics. I want to ask you, as far as, have you ever been interested, because I listen to Drum History, it's a great podcast, it's so interesting. Have you ever thought of diving into drum forensics, whether it's tracing skin, wood, artifacts, origins, the diaspora, the evolution? Because the drum is one of the only instruments, and again, I was taught this in drum history, learned this in drum history. Throughout history, you will see the drum. Throughout evolution, you will see the drum, whether it's communication, conquest, slavery. There's no other instrument you will see that's in every aspect of human development. Do you have any interest in tracing the history of the evolution of the drum as far as forensics?
Absolutely. My master's is specifically forensic psychology, so it marries my interest in what makes humans do what they do, with wanting to help people, like, for example, being equipped to work with youth or refugees, or, the forensic psychology is a confusing term for a lot of people. They're not really sure what it's about, but it's really taking therapy or psychology and applying it out into the world, into the real world. And, as far as exploring the history of the drum, a lot of my work has to do with that, because the drum has actually taught me my most important lesson of feminism, which is, up until I learned about some of the ancient drums that women used to play thousands of years ago, I just thought, feminism pointed to, okay, women are allowed to work the same jobs as men and make the same amount of money. These sort of tired conversations. But I didn't realize that, women were worshipped once, and women were the musicians once, and the drummers and the doctors and the shamans. That I was blessed to discover through a book called When Women Were Drummers by Elaine Redman. Incredible research she did in this book, and she has pictures of artifacts and thousands of years in many different areas of the world, proof of how everything about woman, the vulva, the reproductive system was honored and respected and worshipped, and all these pictures of women playing what are basically frame drums and tambourines, like ricks, So I suddenly, again, another moment when the light bulb went off for me, and my life sort of shifted its position. I'm like, wow. I felt suddenly started to feel different as a woman. This sort of strange internalized shame of being sort of less than as a woman kind of went out the window. It was no longer a question of, oh, we can prove ourselves to show that we can be or do whatever men do. No. There was a time when we were like royalty. We were goddesses. It was common understanding and practice to see women as these magical creatures who align with celestial bodies because they all bled together with moon cycles. I mean, come on.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Preach.
So everything shifted for me, and as a result, it's very important for me to hold, for example, women's groups in frame drum, because it's a regathering of this incredible healing power of the frame drum, which they say goes back maybe 100,000 years, the beginning of shamanism, and was a tool by women to bless crops and to manifest healing, and to do, and it's still used to this day by indigenous groups as that tool. So yes, I mean, this is an incredible topic everyone needs to explore, because it's part of our history, not only as musicians, but as people, as humans. As women, and men can understand too what their role is, because men are lost too. Men are trying to figure out what these times mean, and back in these days, it was an honor to protect woman, to allow woman to be everything that she could be in order to take care of the earth. There's an old proverb, native proverb. It's the job of the woman to lead men to source. Because again, women were seen as source, the vulva, the cave. This was source. The women are lead men to males to source, and then males, their role is to make sure the woman roams the earth unharmed, free and unharmed. Note that it has nothing to do with ownership, nothing like that. Make sure that he protects her so that she can roam the earth unharmed. And this is like a really powerful proverb that I always keep close to me and share think it really empowers men too, and reminds men why we protect. Essentially, women are our mothers, our wombs. Of course, we are the peacemakers. We are what we birth. We raise. We grow. We make things alive. This is what we're about, and what a pleasure to be able to cultivate that, right? I think we would find harmony in the world if we could rediscover this and allow women to lead again. You know.
I agree. As a man, I agree. If we rediscover the power of the womb, and without you, there is no life. And I always recommend, if you have not heard this book, I think it was in the 70s, Witches, Midwives, and Nurses, A History of Women Healers, and it talks about how powerful and how much knowledge you brought to the table, but how men usurped your information, your authority, your power, and called it our own, and said, you can just be our secondhand women. You can't really hold the scalpel. You can't be this person, but you can, you'll just be there and be our nurse. It's a very powerful book. I learned a lot from it. But yes, I definitely agree. We need to again find the great value in the female species. April, I want to take the last part of this and talk about your event center, and also how people can find you as far as instruction. So we will be right back. April, I want to take this time and I want to hear about your event space, and also about if you're accepting any students right now as far as instruction for what instruments. So please, April, take it away. Tell us about your event space.
Sure. So my wife and I, Kira Sanchez, and I have an event space and film studio space in Long Branch, New Jersey. So in central Jersey by the Jersey Shore. It's about an hour south of the city. And it's the first professional film studio in the area. So we hope to get things going down there in this way of film and art. And we also promote performing arts of all kinds, and we welcome people of all backgrounds and nationalities and ages and abilities and orientations and cultures and bases to express themselves as they wish, creatively. And as far as the event space, it's a gorgeous modern industrial 6,500 square foot area, high ceilings, and perfect for weddings, for private events, for conferences and workshops and talks and pop-ups. So please visit us. We are at 10PRL on Facebook and Instagram. That's at number 10, P as in Peter, R as in Ralph, L as in Love, and 10prl.com to learn more, to book a tour or book some time. We also share, Kira and I, a production company. We shoot music videos, we shoot promos, and whatever else you need to get really great high-end content for your social media, for your website, for your business. We want to support businesses now in a big way. We want to support artists now in a big way, people who are self-employed. So we are really making it affordable and easy if you want to come down and get really great, beautiful content that will generate cash flow for your business. And also I teach regularly online at this time, of course. So, and all the instruments, and darbuka and rick and frame drum. So just simply contact me. You can contact me through Facebook and Instagram at April Centrone. That's at April, like the month, Centrone, C as in cat, E, N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, R-O, N as in Nancy, E.
And I will have all the contact information in the show notes. Please, once again, I've taken Rick lessons from April, and they were so much fun. I've taken lessons from a lot of, since I was a little kid, drum lessons, conga lessons, berimbau lessons. I know a good instructor when I encounter a good instructor. She loves teaching, and she can speak, she can communicate the language to different level students. And so highly recommend. And I want to end this off, April. Anything you can say to the female drummers, percussionists out there that encounter some of these similar challenges you encountered? Any advice you can give?
Oh, well, my advice to female drummers out there who are, struggling in the sort of man's world of it, just keep going and reach out to other female mentors. We're here. We can guide you, and some of the things that you're moving through, believe me, we've been there, and we can help you move through it quicker. Life is these lessons, and we all have to move through them. But there's no shame in moving through it a little faster. Then learn from our not mistakes, but learn from what we've been through, and that's why it's so great to reach out to teachers like me, to study with teachers like me. I will accelerate you through all these bumps and let you know what you need to know to rise above,
to navigate.
To navigate, exactly.
April Centrone, I sincerely appreciate your disclosure, your information, your humility, and your time, and I wish you well with the event space, with taking on students in life. You've been a treasure today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Bless. Peace. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed this episode of Move Evolution's Drumming Therapy. Please help us grow, rate, and review us. And if you would like more great content, hit the subscribe button. Would you like to find out more about me or Move Evolution Physical Therapy? Go to moveevolution.com. Heal, move, drum, evolve.